Welcome back everyone. In today's video we're going to talk about intrusion detection. So we're going to continue with the blue team series. So in the recent videos or in the previous videos we talked about snort, how to use snort in intrusion detection and how to create rule sets. In this video we're going to talk about two IDSs, Suricata and other one. It was new to me actually that I cannot remember its name. Let me see, where is the name of that IDS? It was the first time I hear about this IDS. I think it was in the line of Wazoo. So Wazoo, that's the next IDS we're going to talk about. So what are we going to do today? Let me first expand or review this in full screen, minimize this one, exit. All right, so we're gonna discuss and talk about evasion techniques with both Suricata and Wazoo. We're gonna first try with the task 4 and task 5 and task 6. We're gonna conduct scanning and reconnaissance using Nmap and Nikto and see how the IDSs will catch on the traffic generated by Nmap and Suricata, investigate the alerts. At the same time, we will also modify the way we work with these tools. We're gonna try to evade the alerts, evade the fact that IDS will generate alerts. We're gonna see how we can use the different command line options with Nmap and Nikto to evade Suricata IDS. Okay, so what are we going to do now? Let me explain this very brief. So we're gonna take this one here. Okay, I'm working basically on the attack box. So we're gonna copy the IP address, leave this for now, and start working here. So at the very first, we're gonna open the browser, all right, navigate to the dashboard, and also I'm gonna open the terminal. Okay. Right, so I'm gonna access the interface and I'm gonna walk you through the interface as laid down in the room. I recommend you guys, if you're starting out with NIDS or IDSs, to take this room and try to solve the tasks. Access the dashboard at port 3000. Isn't it 3000, right? No. Actually, I'm confusing things now. Let me go to the register. This is the targets. Okay, I want to access the dashboard where we can monitor the alerts of both Suricata and Wazoo IDS. What happened? I think it closed or crashed. Expect some delay while you are working with the attack box. I don't know the reason. So access through this link. You can find this link in the first task, the introduction, where you will be guided through the challenge. So basically, first we register, and this is the first kind where this is the first time we see CTF of blue team or the blue team type. So here what we can do, make sure that the controlled IP address reflects the IP address of the machine you are working from. So since I'm working from the attack box, I'm gonna now make this bigger. And since I don't have the right shortcuts, I'm going to use the zoom in from here button. Okay, IP or IPA. So here I can see the current IP address of the machine I'm working from, which happens to be the attack box. I guess I'm going to have to zoom this out a bit. Okay. All right, so Ethernet 0, this is the current IP address. Let's make sure that this IP address matches the one displayed here. And indeed it is. So username, type any username you want. You can type SN. Register. Now upon registration, what happened? Okay, upon registration you will get an access token. You're gonna have to copy this access token if you're going to solve all the tasks and maintain your session for the entire challenge. You're gonna have to copy this to a safe place to make sure if you log out by accident, you can actually restore your session back and log in back with this access token. You're going to be asked about this access token whenever you want to log in. I'm going to click on the login here, and here I put the access token and my username, remember me, and sign in. So what do we have in here? This is the interface. And here we see the current score, and this is the dashboard, and we see as well the alerts section. The alerts section displays all the alerts generated by Wazoo and Suricata IDS. So what is the current score here? What does it reflect? It reflects the actually how noisy is your scan. So the higher the score is, it means that the noisier your scan is. So if you get a score like 66, 70, 80, the more you go towards the 100, it means the noisier your scan is actually getting. It's getting too noisier. So you're gonna have to adjust the evasion techniques. So here we're testing how Suricata and Wazoo generate alerts as a reaction to scanning tools. So first we're gonna go aggressive and noisy, see what is our current score, investigate the alerts, and based on the alerts and the input we have from the IDSs, we're gonna tweak our methods and try evasion techniques with both Nmap as a network scanner and Nikto as a web scanner. So let's minimize this way down and start with the Nmap Scan. Okay, so what's the first thing we're gonna do? As all of you know, guys, there are many ways to do an Nmap scan. Okay, now normally Nmap, when you scan with Nmap, it scans using ping request. So it sends ping requests to make sure that the host is live. So these ping requests normally are flagged and immediately detected by the IDSs. Moreover, when you do an Nmap scan, you actually use a user agent. The user agent is actually Nmap, and it's also flagged by IDSs. Let's see now how a noisy Nmap scan gets detected by Suricata and Wazoo IDSs. So we start Nmap scan with nmap-sv to find out the versions of the running services, and then we type the IP address to 217.60. Now this scan actually, what kind of scan is this actually? So basically we scan for the services and we try to probe for the versions. So this scan by default is noisy scan. It will be expected that this scan will generate alerts. Therefore, we know that this kind of scan actually gets detected by the intrusion detection systems like Suricata, as we will see, IDS, Snort, and Wazoo. So now we're gonna head to the dashboard and monitor our score, see how the score is doing. So this is my score now. Okay, 23.47 means I got detected, of course, I got caught. Right now it is 32. So it is increasing as the scan progresses, which means I failed in evading the IDSs, which is actually done by purpose. We want to see how the IDSs interact and what kind of alerts it will generate before we decide on an evasion strategy. So you do this kind of testing, guys, when you you're actually planning to conduct a pen test engagement for a client where you're required to perform evasions and you're required to test the security of the IDSs. So you're gonna have to perform evasion techniques before you go live. You're gonna have to do that on your own environment and see how these kind of IDSs are reacting to different Nmap scans. Let's get back into Nmap scan and see if this is finished. Nope, not finished. In the meantime, let's now split the screen. Don't we have split screen here? Okay, open new tab, no problem. And now we're gonna zoom in a bit. Okay, that's it. So assume that we got detected. Okay, there are multiple ways to evade IDSs with Nmap. Now, so basically, let me go to the notes file of, let's see here, where is the node file, information gathering, sorting for Nmap, and here, all these notes are can be found in the Google Drive as part of the channel membership and online access to the notes, online access. So let's see here, scroll down. So we can perform null scan to bypass IDSs. We can perform finalize scan to use the fin tag. We can also perform decoy scan. We can also change user agent of the scan. There are multiple ways to evade firewall, but the IDSs, but doesn't mean that they all work on the same IDS. We have to take a look at the input or the alerts the IDS has generated in order to craft your strategy. So I'm gonna go back and check out the score. Now it is 56. So as you can see, my score is becoming higher, which means my scan is kind of noisy. And we know that the version scan is noisy, guys. All of you know that. So it has finished. And as you can see here, I have discovered 4 services with one being unknown. Look at this one. So we have SSH, we have port 80, and we have another service running on port 8000 and another service running on port 3000. So the scan now has finished. Let's now find out what are the alerts that have been generated. So we go to, as you can see, Wazoo has not generated any alerts. If we go to Suricata now, investigate the alerts, let's see here. So we see the severity of the alert. Let's go to the dashboard or the alerts section to view these more systematically and clearly. So we can also sort by entries, show, let's say, what happened. Go back. So click on here, 100. So we got around 11 alerts. So what do we have? We have the message. The message section shows the message that has been configured by the analyst. The analyst, much like Snort, when creating the rules, they can configure the message and put in the message that corresponds to the kind of alerts. So here, Suricata application layer detect protocol only one direction. And this is kind of the behavior of Nmap. It sends only one packet and it doesn't respond. It just probes for what the server will respond with based on the information. And we have scan Nmap scripting engine user agent detected. So the IDS was able to detect and generate the alerts based on the user agent used by Nmap. Here we have the category and we have the severity here. Now, Suricata IDS has severity levels range from 1 to 3, with 3 being the lowest and 1 being the highest. Okay, so 1 being the highest severity and 3 being the lowest severity. Here we got the source where the alerts, or from which source the alerts have been generated, and we have the overall score. Okay, so what to do now? Based on the inputs, based on the alerts, we're gonna need to change our user agent. So we can go back now. Let's see. So here is, let's see where we can, this is the command where we can change the user agent. All right, so let's do that. Nmap dash the script dash args. Okay, so we define in the user agent http.useragent and IP address. Okay, so let's say we type in test and then we plug in the IP address of our targets. And now, before executing the command, let's go back and examine the score. Since the scan has finished, we're going to refresh this one. Okay, so now after some time, the score will get back to its original state, which is 0, and then we can start the scan. Let's start the scan anyway. Enter. Okay, so the scan has finished. Let's go back. Right now we cannot know actually, since we need to, let's log out and log in back. So to reset the score, I think I'm gonna have to log out, okay? Create a different account. Say this time, Mu'tasim version 2, register. And this is my access token. I'm gonna now log in. Where's the login? Okay, here. So replace the old token with the new one, and the new username, sign in, and now I have 0 score. Okay, so now let's try with the command where we change the user agent. So this is the command here. As you can see, we changed the user agent to test. You can also pick up an appropriate user agent from the internet and hit enter. Let's see here. So perfect. As you can see, I got 0. So here 0, it means no alerts have been generated. Am I correct? Let me spawn now different scan. So as you can see, when we used a different user agent, no alerts have been generated, which means we have successfully evaded the IDS. Given that there was no problem or error from the IDS side or from my side. So to make sure that the score is counting, I'm going to run different command, which is supposed to be very noisy scan. Again, I'm going to run -A this time, the most aggressive scan, and see if the score goes up. If it goes up, it means this one was successful. So let's see here. Let's take a look at the score. All right. So we put the score here and we monitor the scan. Okay, so now the score is going up. Now this is fine for me for now. Okay. So which means when we replaced the user agent with something different than Nmap, it succeeded, but that doesn't mean that you can always evade IDSs by just changing the user agent. It solely depends on the configuration of the target IDS. The current IDS is configured maybe not to generate alerts if the user agent is actually something other than Nmap. But on a different scenario, the IDS you are targeting may have a full list of other user agents to flag in order to generate alerts. So take this into consideration that every case is different. 13. Right, so fine for now. I'm going to try different kind of scans. Register a new account. This time V3. Register. Take the token. Copy that. Login page. And now I am version 3. Sign in. And our score is back to 0. Okay. Now back to the command line. Let's see what we can do again to evade the IDS. So the user agent for this scenario worked. Let's see if we can, if we send a null scan with a threshold, as you can see, or threads, one thread, maybe it worked. This scan is very slow, by the way. It would take tremendous amount of time, but I want to see, guys. I want to see if the score will go up if I use this kind of scan. So maybe we can use the scan, or we can use the stealth scan. The stealth scan is very popular among pen testers to evade IDS. However, if we issue nmap-ss, and then let me grab the IP address. So the stealth scan, yeah, it may be stealth, but it may not provide the same wealth of information other noises can provide. So it's like when you, how can I say it? So when you try to look out for something or do an investigation and you try, no one would catch you, the amount of information you would take when you are hiding will be different, or will be less than the amount of information that you will generate or will gain when you are exposed to your enemy, right? So basically here we are trying to hide ourselves, at the same time gain as much information as we can. So let's see the alerts or the score that could be generated here. So 0. I'm going to do the scan one more time and refresh the page, just making sure that nothing is stuck. So 0, and then do the scan one more time. Still the scan. Let's go and see. So we got 0. no alerts. So you have evaded the IDS for this scenario. But take a look at the output. You've only managed to gain the current services running and the open ports. You don't have information about the version. If you try to say -SS and then dash, okay, let's see -P, want to get information about the port 80, say. Let's see the score. And again we get 0. Now let's add this to the scan. See the scan, and I want, say, -- script equal vulnerable. I want to run the scan using the scripting engine of Nmap, provided that I want to see the list of the vulnerabilities, okay, of the current targets. Enter. Let's see how will this work. Up, 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 up. No, 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 no. So let's see here. Okay. It is this number if it will move. Oh my goodness, look at this one. It's 200%, 200%. So we're gonna stop the scan. It's a very noisy scan. And look at the alerts we have generated. It is the Nmap scripting engine. So now you know that when you want to evade the IDS alerts, you have to not use the Nmap scripting engine. And it is very noisy. It will just use whatever it has to see if the target is vulnerable from all points, from all kind of services. Don't use it. So that is a nutshell about evading IDSs. So in the nutshell, you have to set up your own environment and see the different kinds of configurations that would generate different kind of alerts based on the switches you use using Nmap. Now we're going to talk about different thing, which is the Nikto web scanner. So what happens, guys, is we have a target running here. We spawn this up. Let's log out as we will create a new account for a new score and go to port 3000 Gravana. So we have a website running on this port, okay, and we're required to log in. We're not going to do any pen testing. We're just going to use Nikto to scan this interface. We're going to scan this website and see the reaction of the IDS on Nikto. So first we're going to try, as always, with a normal scan, okay, and see how Nikto, not Nikto, okay, Suricata would respond. So Nmap Scan version 4, and we will take this, copy that, and log in. What's the version 4? Sign in. Okay. Alright. Alright. So now we go back. Now we're gonna say Nikto, okay, specify the port 3000 and then say only scan the host. Oh. -H. Let's see here what happens. So 8, 307. So regular Nikto scans will not work against intrusion detection systems. We're gonna have to tailor the scan and use the different options provided with Nikto to evade such a scan. Okay, so what to do now? We're gonna say Nikto-H. See the help menu here. So there are a couple evading techniques with Nikto, among which are the tuning, scan tuning, and also we can use the evasion. So evasion and tuning, we can experiment both and try to see the reaction of the IDS. So let's go back and investigate the alerts first. See what's the problem here. So GPL web server root access. So it's trying to access a couple files on the target, or server script tag in URI, possibly cross-site scripting attempt. And as you can see, based on the alerts of the Suricata, we can see that Nikto is trying to test the target against different vulnerabilities and exploits. Cross-site scripting, PHP, and is trying to get access to different files, trying to probe for different files on the current server and see if it can access these files, or it has these files actually are misconfigured or has read permissions for public. So all of that is being performed by Nikto. So we're gonna have to tune the scan a bit and make it less noisier. So what we can do here, let's go back. Okay, so we have two options, as I said. We can use the scan tuning. We can start with the scan tuning. Scan tuning means we want only a couple things to test. We don't want Nikto to go all crazy and see everything on the target, if it's vulnerable or not. We want to see a couple of stuff, step by step. So we can select what we want to scan. So here we can scan for interesting files, scan for misconfigurations, information disclosure, and you have to select the number. Let's see how this goes. So first, let's go back to Nikto, to Suricata, log out, create a new account. I don't know if it is the only way to reset the score is by creating an account, but correct me guys if I am doing this wrong. I just found this the only way to reset the score back to 0. So copy that, login, 5, back to baby state. So, alright, so Nikto -p3000-t. Let's scan for misconfigurations and information disclosures. So select 2 and separated by 3. Space, separated by space, and then 3. And -h 10, 10, 217, 60. Okay. So it's now a bit better, right? 38. Has the scan finished? It finished. So we got 38 score, which is below average, which means our detection, the probability of detecting the scan has gone way lower, right? And maybe some IDSs won't even detect the scan, right, if you use these options. So let's take a look now at what are the alerts that have been generated even with this I'm not gonna say quiet scan, I'm gonna say less than noisy scan. So we got only 9 alerts, and these are the alerts. So we have web server script tag in URI, possibly cross-site scripting attempt, GPL exploit, IIS sample access. Right, so maybe here we have to change the user agent. Let's now reset the score, new one, v6. Right now we're gonna keep the old command as is with the scan tuning, but this time we're gonna try to change our user agent. See how this will affect the alerts. So back to the command line. Okay, so here I'm gonna say dash user agent. Let me make sure I type the correct command regarding the user agent. I'm gonna have to check. Guess what? Nikto. Oh, I don't have Nikto here. Maybe it is on the web application notes file. So let's see the user agent part. We're just gonna ensure that I got this correct. Scanning the vulnerabilities. I don't have it. But I need to update my notes file. Okay. So user agent say test. This is the short dash user agent. Yep, so you're gonna have to use this one. Let's look for the user agent option. See what do we have to provide. Format, help host, ignore ID key, mutate. Use proxy. Let's try this one. Oh, it's not working. Let's check this out. Nikto user id change. Let's see this one. Dash user agent, and you need to get to select the user agent. Set up hash. Let's see the list of user agents we can use. What is my browser user agents? Here you can see a list of all the user agents, guys. Okay. Cache guides, detect my settings, tools, browser report, list of user agents. Okay, let's see here. Operating system, let's select something like Linux. Okay, let's have this one over. I hope copying this into the attack box is easy. Ah, 2 times. Okay, let's correct this one. So remove up until here and try. Still not working. Okay, let me try using only Mozilla. I guess the problem is not in the user agent. The problem is in the way I'm writing the command. So I have to stick, I haven't used this option before, so I'm gonna have to stick to this. Let's use this one. And here, change only the wording. Alright. Okay. Do we have to provide the double quotes? Yes, we have to. Of course we have to. So, here say any header, keep it as is, and here change this to test. And again, this one isn't working. Option user agent, unknown option. Is this option depreciated, or I am missing something here? Dash user agent. Alright, I'm gonna skip this for now, guys. It may need separate troubleshooting. I'm not gonna waste your time. Maybe we're gonna get back to this in a separate video. Let's try now the other scanning technique. So as you can see now, using the scan tuning option worked, but not up to our expectations. So we're gonna have to couple this with another method, which is the evasion options in Nikto. You can scroll up and see the evasion techniques we can use here. So evasion -E, and we have these techniques. We can use any one of them. You can use 1, 2, 3, all of them, some of them, depending on the input or the output provided to us in the alerts. So if we get back and check out the alerts, we have a raise session. All right. So we're gonna get back here and see what we can. Random URL encoding, directory self-reference. Okay, so let's use random URL encoding. This would be helpful, and use a spacer technique. let's select A, use Windows directory separator. So we're gonna have to use 1 and 8. So again, getting back to this, dash E 1 and the A, right? It was A. Dash E 1 8, sorry. So 1 8. Okay, let's see now. 21, 34. So it hasn't made such a big difference. Let's get back. We're going to try to minimize this a bit. So we're going to now investigate the alerts. Let's see here the alerts. Now we can get an insight on what's happening. Alerts. So we get only 6 alerts, among which we have possible cross-site scripting in URL. So we can have maybe to use a couple extra evasion techniques in the URL, and we have GPL exploits CNF access. So let's go back now and add extra techniques for the evasion. So 7 spacing, and we have if you remember it was A, right? Let's see. So we will use the random URL encoding, the separator, the spacer carriage, and also the binary value as a request spacer. Okay, I'm gonna cancel this one, use 1 AB. So maybe this would reduce the score, 1 and B. And before executing, let's make sure the score is okay. Log out now. I'm gonna get the last account, guys, because it's kind of dull to create accounts. Maybe I'm mistaken, I'm doing the wrong thing, but this is the only way I had the score zeroed out. So forget me if I'm doing the wrong method. So now copy that, log in, V8. Okay, now we can execute the scan. Oh my goodness, 51. This one is kind of a bit noisier, so maybe again we get the IIS samples here. So guys, what you have to do here, you have to always experiment with different options, since you're running this as a virtual machine before going live on any targets for any clients you are doing pen testing. So basically, let's now jump to the tasks and answer the questions. Alright, so where will we? Because of the basics. So task 4, you have 2 questions. What scale is used to measure alert severity in Suricata? So as I told you guys, it's from 1 to 3, with 1 being the highest and 3 being the lowest. How many services is Nmap able to fully recognize when the service -SV is performed? If you remember, we're able to recognize 4 services, 3 of which were recognized and 1 was kinda unknown. Now to evasion. Nikto should find an interesting path when the first scan is performed. What is it called? So we're gonna have now to get back to Nikto and investigate the results. So maybe since here we're using different kind of scan with different options, this it's here. Root page is /login, which is the interesting directory we have found. So back now to where? Here. Here. What value is used to toggle denial of service vectors when using scan tuning? -T in Nikto. So if you go back to scan tuning, we can toggle the denial of service using this option. So with this option 6, we can test for denial of service. Which flags are used to modify the request spacing in Nikto? Use commas to separate the flags in your answer. 6AB, you can find this from the help menu, and these are open source intelligence. We're gonna walk you through these guys in the next tasks. We're not finished yet. We're gonna now, after this task, after we finish with scanning and reconnaissance, we're gonna test evasion of the IDSs when we are on the exploitation and privilege escalation stages in the cyber culture. So that is for today, guys. I hope you liked the video, and definitely I will see you later.